Welcome everyone to Care Crafting Connections. Today's episode is going to be about designing homes for accessibility. We have an expert, Bridget Espinoza. She will go into detail about affordability, how to design your homes for accessibility for disabled adults and seniors. Thank you, Bridget. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I am a director of Medicaid services for a home health agency. And what I do is I administer Medicaid waivers programs. One of the biggest obstacles that we face is affordable and accessible housing for the individuals, the population we serve. We serve from the very, very, very low income and to maybe mid income. But what I find is that the accessibility is too broad. So we're trying to close the gaps because my example is a prosthetic doesn't fit everybody's legs. So we have to find things that are individualized. We are trying to develop person-centered plans to be able to get people in their home, and it's already set up the way that they need it to be set up. So contractors, we're trying to find contractors that will really educate themselves to be able to personalize these individual units. Some people, paraplegics, for instance, they need more like AI things. They need more voice-activated assistance for their home so that they can even, I saw one, they can even call their grab bar. They can call their grab bar. It's automated. And so I think that things are shifting from generalized to being able to provide personalized care to keep the people in the home. The whole purpose of an ADA unit is to keep the person in there. If they don't have what they need, they're going to hit the hospital again, or they're going to end up back in skilled nursing.
So from my experience, how do you make sure, because since it's a vulnerable population, seniors and disabled adults are very leery to allow people into their homes. How do you build that connection so they could be more transparent of the needs? Because usually from my experience, when we try to assess those that are in the hospital setting, they're like, oh, I'm fine. I don't need any help, because they're fearful that once we are in the home and we see that they need more care, that our next recommendation will be for them to leave their home and go into an assisted living or a higher level of care. So how do you build that connection with your client?
So you work with them. My idea is working with somebody versus working for them.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? So when you're working with somebody and they are helping you build the plan, it builds more trust. Because if you're just telling people, well, here, I'm going to go into your home and I'm going to do the A, B, and C,
Correct.
It kind of makes them fearful. But if you utilize a standard, just it's me and you against the world. We're going to do this. We're going to get this done. And we're going to get it done right. Because my goal is to keep you at home. I think that helps build the trust, because they're like, I don't want to go back here. I don't want to go back here. I don't want to end up in a skilled nursing.
Correct.
I don't want to end up in an assisted living. And so you just have to keep reiterating that, hey, this is what we're going to do. I need you to work with me so that we can make sure that we make this happen. And that's the easiest way that I found to be able to reach people.
And then also it's so expensive. So how do people afford this? Meaning that I went to a seminar and they were trying to educate the seniors and disabled adults to take a loan against their house to make their home more affordable. So when people hear that, they're like, I don't want anybody to help me because of the stigma of someone taking their home or it being a lien put on their house. So how do we vet them to ensure that they're not being taken advantage of?
So for me, there's a lot of options, new options out there.
Correct. So
I wanted to share with you that, and share with everybody that enhanced case management is through everybody's personal managed care plan. So let's say you have Kaiser, you have Molina, you have LA Care, you have something like that. There are budgets that are within these programs that will help with home modification. So let's say you need $15,000. So $7,500 could be absorbed through the home modification under certain programs.
Correct.
And then coupled with, depending on your city, there are other contractors or other agencies that will go along, and they have money too that we can kind of piece together to get these things done, because you don't want anybody to put a lien on anybody's property ever.
Right.
You know, unless some extreme measure, but you want to utilize the funds that are out there. And there's a lot, they're just hidden. Nobody talks about them.
They don't at all. And then that is the most, what I saw, it was very predatory.
Yes.
Because you're telling someone, oh, well, we'll just take $100,000 out on your house and you could stay home, and then you'll have the more adaptability within your home. It's safer. And who wants to live in assisted living? So to me, it was very predatory.
Correct.
So I kind of stay away from promoting it. But when I met you, you were talking about home modifications and how you're advocating for the clients and using their Medi-Cal insurance to ensure a safe home environment. So can you share an experience, like an ideal situation on how you would navigate and help those that would want this?
So I have a client that's in skilled nursing home, 24 years old. He had an injury, a football injury, and so the canvas was way big. So you start thinking, okay, how are we going to work together to get this done? So what we did was we did work with the contractor, and we pulled money from. I pulled money from 4 different programs, and I was able to get him, the where they pick him up and it could take him from the kitchen to the bedroom and all those other kind of things. So it's not an easy process, but you have to search for the things, but because of the programs that I've been using for 15 years, CCT, ALW, and now ECM services, you can get those, and you can get donations from a community. Riverside, for one, has a lot of resources for people for home modification, because their community as a whole, churches and everybody are involved with keeping people in their homes. So I'm trying to bring that, like maybe to LA, Ventura counties, and the other ones that are not quite so.
You do a lot of advocacy too, don't
yes,
you?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Can you share some of your advocacy on how you advocate for this population?
So I go to city councils all the time.
Yep.
I'm their biggest nightmare, to be honest. I go to city councils. I go to housing meetings. I go to individual people. If I find out that anybody has a lot of money, I'm there at your door. And I'm trying to get donations and trying to get things to help people. I mean, even so much, I have people donate materials. They didn't donate money, but there was a contractor that I had that had extra stuff for ramps and stuff, and they like, okay, we'll just donate that tax write-off. It's a tax write-off, people, for donations and stuff like that. So, and with also the state, I'm constantly advocating with the state, so that with our congressman, with our governor, like contacting their offices to make our communities better and to keep people in their homes versus displaced, because nobody, in my opinion, nobody deserves to be in a skilled nursing for the rest of their life.
No, it's not a quality of life.
Yeah,
it's a poor quality of life. Can you explain exactly what home modifications is? Because some people think home modifications is just a wheelchair ramp. Or can you go into detail of like what a home modification could be for adaptability for a disabled person?
Yeah, so home modification means that it meets the person where they're at. So if you're in a wheelchair, it's very difficult for you to cook up here, right? And so we want to bring the stove down. We want to get refrigerators that are accessible, that they can pull easy, and they have little I forgot what they're called. They're little like grab things that they can open, and they can put their own groceries away, which actually enhances their self-esteem,
right?
Which helps them in the long run enhance their quality of life. The bathrooms, in my opinion, are one of the biggest obstacles, because even when you have a roll-in shower, sometimes still the doors are still there. The people are scraping with their wheelchair and stuff. So those need to be looked at. I feel like sometimes the doors just need to go, or they need to make them sliding. You know, you can slide them.
Right. Like those barn doors.
Yeah, like barn doors. Those are a little bit better. And it goes back to individuality. So if you have somebody, let's say you have somebody that's 300 pounds, right? In a bariatric wheelchair, it's not, the standard modifications are not going to work. Or you have people that also, let's say that they are deaf, right? So there are lights, to put up to where they'll know somebody's ringing the doorbell or things like that, So it's just individualized things that help out. The little things that we take for granted in our doors, those stop wheelchairs, the little strips, the weather strips. So we're trying to find a different kind of weather strips. That's one of the projects I'm working on. So anybody out there that knows anything about this, let me know. Hit up Shannon so she can tell me.
Yes.
Yeah. So the weather stripping is an issue too, because it tends to stick to the wheelchairs. The toilets themselves, grab bars. There's certain things that they can use to be able to pivot and things like that.
So when you go into assess, do you look for fall prevention?
Yes.
Okay. So you work through and meet with the client and see the necessary steps for fall prevention, because as they go home, that's like the number one thing that happens usually once they're discharged from an acute setting. So how do you guys, when you assess the client, like what do you, I'm sure you have to vet to see if they're appropriate in coming back home?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do. And we take them into the home and we try to observe them so that we could see the deficits. Because some people have right side weakness, left side weakness, there's different things. So we try to watch them. We take them in there a day in the home, know, and okay,
that's
so
good.
so if I tell them, if I left you here, what would you do? Just pretend like I'm not here.
Got it.
And so we take notes and we take videos of them and we see where, the deficit is, where their weaknesses are, so that we can try to, nobody can totally avoid some of these things from happening, but we can take as much care that we can to potentially lower the risk down as best as we can.
As possible. So when you discuss AI technology tools, what is the advancement? What do you see in the future? What do you see currently that they're using technology to assist people with home adaptability?
So one of the things is there's a AI monitoring system, right? For the families. I mean, we kind of use those now, but for people with disabilities, they're trying to enhance that. So voice recognition and things like that. They're even looking at and I find this to be really interesting, that they can monitor blood pressure, like from AI. They can wear patches. These are things that are being looked at so that people will be like, oh, their blood pressure's low, or maybe we can find ways to notify a family member if they're not taking their medication, because that's important too.
Right, of course.
Medication management, that's one of the biggest reasons why people return back to skilled or assistant living. So we're trying to find ways to where it offsets that. So I've been looking at demos of different stuff, and it's quite interesting.
So you see it progressing and people being able to communicate without actually have to make that phone call or having their own, I guess, a flare-up happening. So they'll be detected before it actually becomes a bigger issue.
Yes, and that's the goal. Going into 2026, they're thinking that there's going to be a lot of more doctor... Kaiser's looking at it. This is one of the big ones that's looking at it. A lot of more communication through those types of programs. They want to put them on an app or go into the home, put them on the TV and stuff like that, so the doctors can kind of take a look here and there, especially for high risk. Those ones, hypertension, strokes, people with history of heart attacks, and things like that.
So do you feel that this, by having home modification, it increases isolation though, by them going back home and they don't having the level of socialization skills?
Well, that's where the community comes in. I mean, we're all responsible to participate in those type of things, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like if we know that a person doesn't have family, then it's kind of our responsibility as humanity. I'm talking about as humanity to step in. We could be that daughter. We could be that cousin.
We have the time? Because in my opinion, between work and people's personal life, juggling all of those things we had to deal with personally, and then now taking on that level of responsibility, someone returning back home.
That's where you get your retired people. You get your retired people. You get your volunteers. You build community. You know, it says it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
Well, it takes a village to keep somebody in their home too, to be honest.
does.
It
It
takes a
does.
village. And even when a person has family, you see the struggles. It causes major stress for people that have relatives that they care for. And basically what you're saying, you're going to work, you're coming home on lunch, and you're trying to,
Make
change
sure this
them,
person-
make
yes.
sure that they're okay. So I think that there needs to be money that's really put into like community involvement, not like IHSS, but something different. I don't
Like activities,
Yeah,
like a senior center, a mobile senior center.
that's good. That's good.
Well, I'm saying because then I also think of the issue of, since they're so vulnerable, they're the ones that predatory. So people tend to financial abuse.
Oh, yeah.
And they're isolated in the home. And to me, when that happens, I feel if they don't have a support system, then the accessibility of them being financially abused, it's a higher risk to me, because they're by themselves and now we have to bring in these strangers to help them. So how do you feel about that? I don't know, because to me, for advocacy being home, I want to ensure that the person has the support system there, ensuring that they will be emotionally safe and also physically safe.
So for me, that's where I feel like the community, like you, I trust you, right?
Right.
And so we've worked together and stuff.
Correct.
And that's how it works. That's how our circles work, right? So we have people that we trust.
Correct.
That have built trust. We don't just randomly go to Walmart and just pull somebody out.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I feel like it should be. It should be, okay, you trust them. I trust them. Can we be 100% certain? Because I've been shocked at some people shocked. I mean, I still can't get over a couple of situations, and you're like, you, like my judgment was so bad. And then you start questioning yourself. Well, maybe I don't even know what I'm talking about because I trusted this person, but we take chances, right? But the biggest vetting thing is by word of mouth and people that know. So if you cared, like I have a lady that cared for my grandpa before he passed away. So with certainty, I can suggest that person.
Because from past experiences.
Yeah, from past experience. Or caregivers that I know are really good and care a lot, and they'll sit there and wait 3 months to get a check. I love those.
Right.
They'll still do the work knowing that
The same quality work.
They're not going to pay you for about 3 months. So I hope you're good. So those are the type of communities that I think need to be focused on and built. And also I'm a person, I'm not religious, but I do believe that there's a certain element of believers, us as believers, that we are mandated to do certain things for people. And so I try to work that angle too.
Of karma.
Yeah, can you help me out? I was saying I have somebody that needs some care today. Can you help me out? Stuff
That's
like
true.
that.
Is there a certain floor plan that a person has that it was been very difficult, but you were able to adjust so the person will be safe?
Yes. Okay, so
Okay.
I don't like a bunch of curves.
Okay.
So I'm walls need to come down. So flat spaces are the best.
Open spaces?
Open spaces. Those are the best for people with handicaps, because when you start having to turn corners and it's taking them this way and that way, it's very hard. So we've had a unit that we've actually taken down and made it just an open space. And it has been amazing. This lady in Long Beach, her quality of life is improved like 100%. But it took some time, and we had to get permission from all kinds of people to be able to do that too.
So can you do this in an apartment, or do you have to own your own home?
We can do it in an apartment, but you have to have permission.
Understood.
And if the person has Section 8, by the way, it's a little bit easier, because Section 8 kind of will advocate for these things. And all these cities, I don't know if you guys know this part either, have gotten $1 gazillion to do this. So they have a lot of money. And some places they can't even find the money, but that's a whole different.
That's a whole argument.
Whole different argument. But they have tons of money that they were given to be able to provide these adaptations to existing units.
Okay.
And so
so you're saying in public subsidized housing, Section 8, a senior or disabled adult could, and they don't own, because a lot of times I would think you have to own the home to make these type of provisions. No.
You have to get forms and you have to sign it off.
Okay.
But and now because of we have this atmosphere of like a sue atmosphere, like I'll sue
Yes.
you, you know, so people are more likely to sign the paper because these disabled people really know their rights. Most of them do. And so they will sue them. And so you have you have a right to live in a unit, even though it's a Section 8 unit. You have a right to be safe in there. And as long as it's not taking from the value of it, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you sign off on that?
Yeah, I guess thinking from a landlord's perspective is like, well, then how can this affect the structure of my house or the structure of the building? But a lot of times it doesn't affect the structure.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. It depends. If you're gonna rent to a disabled person,
Right?
Then don't rent to a disabled person. If you know what I'm saying. So if you're going to do that, if that's where your heart is at, then you have to be willing to go the whole mile. You can't stop midway and say, "Oh, that's not enough," because the person does deserve to be able to live in their home and to be able to navigate as best as they can through their home so that they're comfortable, right?
Right, that is true. Okay. The financial resources, we touched on that. So can you give a real life example of how did you had to advocate for someone in the Section 8? How that went? Did that go well? Was it a lot of advocacy or what did it? You look hesitant.
I will say, I'll say it.
Okay.
Long Beach Housing.
Okay.
Long Beach Housing, it took me 4 months to advocate for this one individual person.
Is that considered a long time? Because to me,
it's a long time when we had the unit and it just was such little things that had to be done.
Understood.
Yeah. And then because this is another caveat to it. And because this person is disabled, we could not find before we found this unit, we couldn't find anything that quite fit. So then this unit, although they accepted Section 8, it was still over budget or that it wasn't enough. So I had to fight for the unit because of the amount of money that was offered for the individual. So it's a catch-22. You're always fighting the system. That's what we were talking about earlier. We're always fighting a system that's built and is supposed to be to help the person. It's not always that. It's not always.
So is it a lot of red tape when you say fight the system? Is it a lot of red tape or it's a lot of follow through that you have to follow through and follow up and advocate in ensuring that the person gets the services that they need or
Both.
the funding? Oh, it's both. Okay.
It's both. It's a bunch of red tape. It's a bunch of advocacy. It depends on the worker that you get. I mean, you know that. Some are easier to work with the others. Some want to just do the bare minimum. And then you're just like, well, can you just help me out? You know, but it's a balancing act. It's between people that have the heart and the right place at the right time to meet up, to be able to walk through the frustrating red tapes that we have to face and so many heartaches. You know, people are waiting. And I think that people don't understand. It's hard for people to wait. Like if you're in a hospital bed,
Right.
it's hard to wait month after month after
And
month.
some people they don't have that type of time, especially in a hospital setting or depending on their insurance, they don't have 4 months. They don't have 3 months.
They have 3 days.
Correct. Sometimes to
Yeah.
make this accessibility for their home. So what is the next, like the red tape? Can you give me an example of a red tape that you kind of had to break?
Auths for one, authorizations.
Oh, yeah.
Those are big red tapes.
Okay.
Because you have to document so much. You have to get the PT evals and all these things once you identify the need. So that's basically what it is. And then they'll send it back and say, well, that's inconclusive. Well, what else can I write? I mean, you know,
Right, right.
And so things like that.
So the funding is considered, getting the funding is the red tape.
Funding's there. It's the auth. It's getting to the funding. So the people between the funding and yourself and the client, and you have to be approved for them. So even TAR, treatment authorization requests, right? Those have become a nightmare at times right now. Those used to be pretty easy, but not anymore. So they're taking a long time. They want way more. They want you to spend way less and buy more. I mean, it's just fighting the system right now is probably the number one thing any case manager or social worker is doing right now, is really standing up against the system that has been created to supposedly help.
So what does it look like when a person is in an acute setting and you want to bring them, they want to come home? Can you walk us through what that looks like for the community so they could understand how that works?
So if they're in an acute setting, there's a couple of variables.
Okay.
So there are the populations that don't have the place to go home to.
Okay.
They desire a home. Our job, our goal is to get them their home.
Got it.
Then they also have the ones that do have a home, but it's not appropriate or it's not safe for them to go back. So what happens is we meet them and we develop a care plan, identifying everything that could potentially hinder us from getting them home safe. And so then we go one by one and start checking them off. How are we going to resolve this? How are we going to resolve that? A lot of times, like we talked about earlier, it's so simple as something that they need, like a grab bars or the overhead, I'm sorry, the overhead transport. Okay. And I love those because they have the independence that they can get in there and they can move from the living room to the bathroom and all those things.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
So they're called a transport, so they'll transport you from room to room?
To room to room. It's like they're in like a sling, and they can transfer this individual that has it. He can transfer from the wheelchair into the sling, and he's able to come out the wheelchair, go into the bathroom, and it brings him down on the shower chair, picks him back up, and he can go all over.
Okay, I'm always go to the worst case scenario. So what happens when that gets stuck?
He has to call. He has to call. In this person's case, he does have a very good caregiving support. He does. Okay. But let's say he didn't.
Okay.
Let's say he didn't.
Okay.
You would have to call 911. You'd have to call 911, or you could call the property management. I would suggest 911 because...
So they would need to keep a cell phone on them as they're doing this. So you would have to educate them.
Yes.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got you off track. So keep going. I was like, so what happens if that gets stuck? Okay, go ahead.
So we're like, okay, so we're either finding the house, we're either going to the house, and then we're establishing what's needed to keep the patient in there safely. And so it's a variety of different things. Transition doesn't just mean accessibility either. I mean, we get food for them, we get clothes for them, we help them, we try to help them with caregiving, which is very hard right now. There's not a lot of caregivers.
It's not.
It's such a shortage of caregiving. And then if you go towards a private pay caregiving, most people cannot afford that. No. So there are certain caregiving agencies, private pay, that have grants. I have found 2 of those. They have grants that'll pay, but not indefinitely. They'll pay like until you can figure something else out, maybe a couple of months. But so we take them home and then we observe them. So we're there, pretty much a care coordinator or somebody's there for the first 30 days, like pretty much every other day, every
to monitor them
and to make sure, did we make the right decision? Do we have enough of this? Do we need to add this to it? And things like that. The stability part, and then you're dealing with the emotional part too, because it's scary for people to go back home after they've experienced, being like cared for at a skilled nursing or something like that. It's kind of, they have to trust themselves again and their surroundings as well, if that makes sense.
Right, because you have to prepare them for what. So when you do, because I always go back to the worst case scenario, you walk them through. So if an emergency happens, you explain to them exactly what to do in case of emergency or if something malfunctions.
And we make a list. We give them a paper, and it has all the emergent contacts on it, our numbers, a neighbor's. We always try to get a neighbor phone number.
Okay.
So that they have that. The management office, a local ombudsman, just all different kind of people, a church, a pastor or somebody from a church. We try to give them a list of emergency contacts that they can reach in the event that something malfunctions or, that they need some additional help at the time.
And then when people don't have a house and they refuse to go to more of a lower level of care of assisted living, what do you offer them? Do you help and advocate for them to find housing?
We do.
Okay.
But if they're not within the 18 to 61, very difficult, because we have Section 8 vouchers for people that are 18 to 61. So if you're out of that scope and you have $1,200 of Social Security and they want you to make 3 times the amount of rent, I mean, here you go. So then now we're like, do we find you a room in a house? Are you renting a room? Can you stay with family? I mean, you have to just become creative at that time. Right now in California, it's very difficult for that population of people because of the amount of rent that it is. One of the things that I'm trying to work on is somehow to lower the rents in California. I mean, even for an average person, it's very difficult, to be able to afford a decent place in a decent area right now. So you have all these people with 900, which I still don't get the 900 amount. Like, how is any person supposed to live on $900?
Right, correct. $900.
$900, yes. Like your whole month, $900.
And then they don't get the room and board rent increase unless you move into a facility.
Yeah, it's $900.
Yes, you just get $900. Yeah. That's it.
And there's some senior apartments that are like $900. So the one client had $28 left after.
And how's he supposed to eat? How's he supposed to provide?
We had to do mom's meals. We had to do, thank God, it sounds crazy, but he's diabetic, so he's eligible for mom's meals. And then it gets a few.
Let's discuss what mom's meals is, because that's important too, because a lot of people don't know, because they think of Meals on Wheels, but there's other options besides Meals on Wheels, and people don't want to eat Meals on Wheels.
Yeah. Mom's meals is medically tailored, and it's geared towards like for diabetics or for high blood pressure, things like that. And it's actually better because
the quality
of the food is better.
I ate it; it was pretty good.
Yeah, they sent us a big. They sent us and so I was like, okay, that's impressive. And the people that have gotten it for are very happy with it. But it comes once a week,
right?
And so they can get up to 2 meals a day for 7 days a week, and I find that has helped out a lot as well.
Is that a continuous benefit, or does it stop?
We have to renew them every year.
Okay,
but as long as their circumstances doesn't change, then they're pretty good about renewing.
Okay, so if you do move into a lower level of income and you go to a housing and you need subsidizing with meals, there's mom's meals, and then you also do the adaptability within the Section 8 apartment as well, you discussed. And what if they need caregiver support? What I've noticed is a lot of times you provide accessibility, but they don't have the support to go back home. And then that is the level of struggle that we have had, because realistically, I could put all these things in place, but at the end of the day, you can't care for yourself. So how do you, because we've had that level of conversation and it's having that difficult conversation, like this is not a safe discharge because you can't go home. Like you can't manage your own medication. You can't change your own depend. You barely could take, bathe and groom yourself. So who's going to be your caregiver is the question at hand. So have you been having those issues?
We have, but with enhanced case management through the managed care plan, they have personal care services.
Right.
So personal care services picks up where IHSS. So let's say they have the maximum.
Right.
So personal care services come in there and they can provide up to 24-hour support through your managed care plan. People don't know that they have that right benefit under it. Yeah, under managed care plan.
So when you say up to 24 hours, does it stop, or does it, because I've experienced maybe 8 hours they may give you. Have they given close to the 24-hour support?
They have. They've gone in and they've evaluated clients and you got maximum IHSS, but we still think you need more. So they'll give additional hours. And what I like about personal care services, you don't have to fight with them so much like you do IHSS.
Right.
They go in and they listen to the individual
that needs the help.
They're actually listening to them. They're not basing a calculation on whatever they do.
System that they have.
It'll take you 3 minutes to do the dishes. okay, you know,
Right.
but personal care services, and then they outsource so it's like caregiving companies, and they vet them and they send the caregivers out through those. Gold Coast is really good about that. Gold Coast Health Plan, LA Care is another one. Molina is another one too. That's very good, and they're very fast about their authorizations for that too. I mean, they'll have people out within like 10 days.
That's really good. So it's like almost like a gap. So if you receive, let's say, 1,000 hours of in-home support services, they will come in and provide the additional services that you may need that in-home support services is not going to cover.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is really helpful to know, because a lot of the times that's been our struggle, and they don't have the support. So to know that you could live independently within your home is also a good factor. How do you determine if a person, I've experienced this when people have gone home, they get too close to their caregiver, where the caregiver, there's blurred lines. How do you guys advocate and ensure that, I know you say community, and I know you say trust factors, but people are people. So elder abuse, how do you detect that a person's at risk for that? Because loneliness happens, people offer money, people start giving out things because they just want compatibility. So how do you detect that into making sure that, you can't make sure because these are adults.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we try to educate our clients because we can't make sure they still have the right in their own decisions. But what do you do to detect it and kind of just educate them to be aware of it?
So a lot of times with elder and disabled people, they don't even know what it is to be taken advantage of, which I found to be kind of interesting. So you have to really tell them, this is not okay. Like, it's not okay to pay Ann's rent.
Right. Or her car note.
Or
give her gas money.
And now you have a notice.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, no, they needed it. They needed
Right.
it. So for me, it's just about educating them and then asking. You have to ask the hard questions sometimes. Like when I go visit, I'll be like, did you pay Ann's rent again? No. Are you sure you didn't pay Ann's rent again? No. So we go through, you should never, it's not for you to support these people. You don't have to pay because they're getting paid for their services, right? And so you don't have to do extra for them. I mean, if you're a millionaire, okay, go for it. And then you wouldn't even need, the services. But, you don't have to do these. I fear for them in a lot of ways because they've been taken advantage of. A lot of people have been taken advantage of. Their bank accounts cleaned out. I had one that I had to call the police because they took off in the car of the client. Didn't bring the car back for like days and days and days. The client's crying, has the wallet.
Oh, wow.
In the car, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have experienced that as well. And also family members.
Oh, my goodness.
That is the really tough situation that we face, because at the end of the day, you see that family member taking advantage of them and advocating for the client. I see that it happens more with family members than strangers, because strangers are a little bit more reluctant because they know the financial consequences. I mean, the legal consequences of the situation.
Yes.
And for family members, it's been really hard to tell you the person that this person is abusing you. So I know that from my experience, it's really difficult. Can you share one of when it has happened with you, or have you seen any family members?
I seen a family member that was sleeping in the nursing home.
We have one for assisted living. He got paroled to the assisted living. I'm like, what are you doing?
The social worker's like, so-and-so's daughter's here, and she's been here for 3 days. What do I do? I was like, girl, that's your facility. I don't know.
I can't help you.
I can't help you.
She was letting him in through the back door. And she's like, well, this is my room. I'm like, yeah, it's your room, but you're in a licensed facility. He just got out of jail. This is just not a good situation. And it was a volatile situation. We had to intervene.
Oh, yeah.
Because the person didn't want to leave. He's like, this is my mother's house. I'm like, it's not her house.
It's everybody's house.
It's everybody's house.
It's like communal living.
Yes.
You got to go, brother. You got to go.
Yeah, you can't do it. So I have had very difficult conversations with family members or long-term friends that we had to advocate for the client, and almost they couldn't live independently because of that. And to me, you have more support when they're in assisted living versus at home, in my opinion. But you're like,
Kind of. I've had to petition to have one of mine conserved for this very reason.
Okay.
So because the brother was taking all the money. The
Right.
brother was not even supposed to be there, but the brother was there. Brother had restraining order.
Didn't matter.
Didn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, he's literally pulling the trays, like eating. Like he'll go in and pull the trays from the skilled nursing home, just start eating and take a shower and get ready for his day. And just
What I noticed when we worked more in, when I did more private instead of Medi-Cal services, to me, the private clients were the ones that were victimized more.
really.
Yes, than the ones, because they had more access to more money. I've had several different clients that had more assets, and then family members pass away, then they get like a long distance niece that wants to come and start taking care of the client. And then now that client is not able to live alone, and we're trying to find them an assisted living. And she's like, no. All he can afford is $2,000. And you're like, no, he cannot. He can afford much more. I'm not going to place this gentleman in this level of facility if he could afford much more. Or they're trying to figure out how to put him. I mean, on Medicare, I'm like, listen, this is not adding up. So to me, when those do have assets, people attach to them a little bit more.
Okay.
And then they try to then advocate for them more, or the caregiver that was taking care of them all of a sudden starts feeling like they're a daughter, and they have isolated the family members. So to me, in the private sector, when people do have more assets, they need to be a little bit more leery about who they trust involving in their home, because then caregivers, the patient or the person starts feeling like the caregiver cares about them more than the daughter that's unable to provide the day-to-day care. And then the emotional manipulation happens, and then they isolate the family member.
They do. But, in all fairness, sometimes the caregiver does care more than the family does. I mean, you have to be honest. I mean, sometimes they do.
But you're entitled to their inheritance.
No, not that. But I can kind of see like how a person could feel sometimes, because here you have. I have a perfect example of this. I have a client that's extremely wealthy.
Okay.
Going through caregiving services.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the sons lives with this individual, right? You cannot pick up the phone to call him. He will not answer. He will not come out of his room to help the mom. He will not do anything. And so you're like, is
this your mom really?
Yeah. And so the mom has become extremely attached to the caregiver. So I can see maybe I don't know, that's a like a gray area, because sometimes maybe the caregivers do.
In a situation like that, the caregiver starts forming a relationship with the mom. Yeah. The mom's like, you know what? I don't care if you don't care about me. I don't care about you. And she gives everything to the caregiver, and it's disruptive. I've seen it happen maybe 5 times during my experience.
Really?
Yes. Where the caregiver has isolated the family member from the parent, and they're advocating and trying to get access to their inheritance. And the caregiver was made, I guess, a beneficiary on the trust, because the family feels that the person feels this person cared for me, you didn't. So it gets really sticky to me when people go home and people go to assisted living, because if assisted living, you call the ombudsman, you call the state. I mean, it will be a huge disruption.
Yeah.
But at home, there's no one to call. You can call APS, but if they come out, I've witnessed that. They've come out and they're like, they have the capacity to make this decision.
Yeah.
So there's nothing you could do about it. And that's how the chips fall. And to me, that is the most scariest thing. If you do have a loved one, you got to kind of think about that as well.
And you should be there so that the person doesn't feel They need to attach to the IHS or the provider, right? Maybe you should go visit mom or auntie.
You do, but there's personal family relationships and dynamics that from childhood, I don't know. So I can't really judge. I don't know if that person was abusive when they were younger. I don't know. So I try to go in like with a neutral lens because I don't know what kind of mom they were or what kind of parent they were. And now they may be softer and nicer because they need help.
Yeah.
So the caregiver's getting the softer side of them, and the child got the most horrible parent. So, but I know that's another topic we can dive into.
It's a catch-22. It's a catch-22
because you're like, you don't deserve it.
Yeah, and then you have the ones that you have the ones that are like they have all these names on their paperwork, but you never seen them. You never seen them. The contacts, they don't pick up their phone, and then when the person dies, all of a sudden, all of them come out of the woodwork.
Oh my, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
And all of you care now. Where were you when I needed an advocate to say could she go to the hospital?
Yeah, you're like, make it make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But they come up when everything happens.
Yeah.
It's disruptive. As we wrap up today's episode, it's evident that designing homes for accessibility is essential for seniors and disabled adults, especially those with low income. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and share our podcast. Thank you, everyone.